Hi, this is Carrie Brownstein.
This is DJ Premier.
This is Darren Aronofsky.
You got the RZA right here.
Rose McGowan.
Radiohead.
Aisha Tyler.
Tribe Called Quest. Fred Armisen.
Prince Paul.
Javier Munoz. Seth Meyers.
Frankie Cosmos.
Flying Lotus.
Hi, we're Chaim, and you're listening to the Talkhouse Podcast.
Hello and welcome to the Talkhouse Podcast. I'm Josh Modell. On this week's episode, we've got two guys from very different musical worlds who've collided over the years in really interesting and fruitful ways. Vic Mensa and Johan Lenox. Now, Mensa is a Chicago-bred rapper who first found notice with the group Kids These Days, but who quickly established himself as a solo artist around 2013. He's collaborated with an amazing array of artists from Kanye West to Weezer and all points in between. Mensa's second proper album, there are lots of mixtapes and guest appearances out there too, came out last year, and it's called Victor. Once again, Mensa displays an incredible agility, bouncing from fun to deep and back again. He's an amazing lyricist, equally adept at party starters and deep thoughts, both of which are on display here. Contributors to the album include Jay Electronica, Chance the Rapper, Thundercat, Dolla Sign, and many others, including today's other guest, Johan Lenox. Now, Lenox did not come up through the hip-hop world, but rather through the world of classical music. Hearing Kanye West's My Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy pushed Lenox out of that bubble, though, and led to a cultural mashup called Beethoven, which utilized a live orchestra to mash up Kanye West and, yes, Beethoven. Lenox has since worked as a producer for West, for Lil Nas X, and many others, and worked with the likes of No ID and Big Sean. He also put out a solo record of R&B-ish jams called What Do You Want to Be When You Grow Up, and a record, also last year, credited to ISO Monstrosity, a trio he formed that treats classical music like hip-hop, chopping and mixing it into something new and bold. Earlier this year, he released a string album called Johan's Childhood Chamber Nostalgia Album. But let's check out a track from the ISO Monstrosity record that also happens to feature Vic Mensa. This is called Wake Up.
Hear the church bells ringing, I'm singing freedom. We live in modern enslavement, I'm exercising my demons. I'm spitting the congregation, I done caught the Holy Ghost on these motherfuckers. The spirit is in me, Father the Son, I bury my enemies. We a dynasty compared to the Kennedys, but more black with more straps. I mean, they barely could kill me, I'm immortal. Bitch, you ain't walking in these here Jordans, size 9.5. Tell me who your favorite, I'm Kurt Vonnegut. Promise I slaughter all five, running out of the ride with a Louis Vuitton bag.
In this conversation, Lenox and Mensa talk about being inspired by everyone from Kanye to Kurt Cobain, about how Mensa wants to inject his sense of humor into more of his music, about artificial intelligence and the future of music, and a songwriting trick they've recently learned. Enjoy.
What's up, man?
Man, I'm chilling, bro. How you feeling?
I feel pretty good. I just woke up. I'm a little foggy.
I've been up so long, bro. I was up since 5.
That's insane.
I start doing really early morning shit, like go to the gym at 6.
That's crazy.
And then like, now that I'm like about to really start working on another album, my intention is, since I've kind of already built up this muscle and routine of waking up early, to be like in the studio in the morning. I mean, I've started to do it, but like I wasn't working on a record. It'd be like, if I'm writing a verse for something or freestyle or something like that, like work out and then be, you know, whatever, by like 9 or some shit. But like starting this new album, I'm about to just be on like Terminator mode.
I definitely feel more like productive during the day. I've never really got why so many sessions start at like 10 p.m. I mean, I get it, but it's just like, I feel like I can't do anything at that, like once it's like 2 a.m.
Music hours are definitely that, you know what I mean? But you know who's the first person I saw doing what I'm talking about? Really the only person I ever saw doing it was Pharrell, man. I got in the studio with him when we were doing Autobiography, and he was working at, I mean, it must have been like 6, 7 a.m. He seemed like so fresh and full of energy, and it's like sunlight, and I was just like, yo, this is different, you know what I mean?
I feel like I remember you talking about that a little bit after that happened, and also saying that he would just, at 5 p.m., he'd be like, yeah, that's it, I'm good.
For real, he'd clock in and clock out like a job, you know what I mean? And I just thought that was interesting.
I had a debate with a friend recently I was on tour with about whether this is a job, and I was like, I like to think of it as a job, even though it is all-consuming. I still feel like it's healthier that way to just be like, this is what I do, and then sometimes I'm going to not think about it, you know, if you can't, which is hard. But
doing music, I don't think of as a job. I mean, like traveling and, you know, doing podcasts and promotion and appearances, those things I do think of as work. But maybe I'm capped, because even when I'm working on music, I ain't gonna lie, I be treating that shit like a job these days. Not that I'm detached emotionally, but like, yeah, getting up super early and getting in there like it's the office, you know what I mean? Because I guess I've realized like something I didn't know in the past is that like if I get in the studio or I'm exercising my writing muscle, like, you know, for 4, 5, 6 hours a day in and day out for a few days in a row, them first few days gonna be tough. But like a few days in, I'm gonna be making like the best shit I can make. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, like the way you say it's like a muscle. Like I try to do volume, like just push through. Even if I'm not feeling inspired, I try to not let that stop me from making something. It doesn't matter that I don't feel like in the mood necessarily. Like in that sense, I mean, I treat it like a job. I obviously don't want to compare myself to people who have like actual jobs because I feel like our life is so easy compared to that in some ways, you know, where I'm so grateful. Yeah.
No, it's a blessing. But I think also like there's also some different to be said about your livelihood or whatever resting on your ability to be creative. It's just different. You know what I mean? It's like, it's for sure something to be grateful for because it's 1,000 times better than like coal mining or some shit.
Right.
Who was I having this combo with, man? Might have been Mos Def or Yasin, but, you know, just like how it's kind of like mining or excavation. You know what I'm saying? I feel like the creative process for me is like just to keep picking at it and digging at it and digging at it. And there's going to be a bunch of like dirt, but then occasionally you find something that's like a nugget of gold, you know what I mean? Or a diamond.
I think that's what you learn, I guess, but after you've been doing it for years, it's just like, it's not going to happen if I'm waiting for like the perfect moments. I mean, sometimes you have that, but like a lot of times you just don't. You were kind of like the first, I guess, major artist that really let me like into the process and gave me a lot of opportunities and stuff, which I really am grateful for. And I feel like during that first year, and I haven't really ever done this with other artists, but there was a period where I was really just like in there pretty much every day and seeing that kind of thing that we're talking about, where it's just kind of like, it doesn't matter, we're making something, you know?
Yeah.
And I feel like that is kind of how a lot of these great songs, it's like, it's not always the first or second one. Sometimes it's like the 50th time you go back. It's just like,
that's facts,
You
man.
get tired of all the easy stuff and then you start trying different things.
It was Dave Appleton that introduced me to you. And he put us on to Beethoven. And it was just like, I think from the moment when I saw that, I was just like, this guy's got a musical mind that's leaps and bounds beyond a lot of what's going on over here. And I know it was like at first we were doing the strings and things like that, but even like throughout the years, one thing I came to realize about you is that like you're one of the illest melody writers I've ever met. You know what I'm saying? So even when we were doing like 93 Punks and I would have lyrics and ask you what's a good melody, I started reading this songwriting book. It's like, I don't know, melody writing for dummies or some shit, but it's tight. And it made me think about that because there was a writer in there who was talking about how his lyrics had written the songs he wanted, but he didn't have the melodies in the same way. And like trying some of these techniques to develop that skill for melody, but it made me think of you because I remember like writing literal songs of just lyrics and being like, handing it to you like, what's a melody?
That's crazy that they put it in writing because I have no idea how I would explain any part of it.
The one thing that's stuck with me seriously right now is this technique that the dude calls line plus 3. And he identifies like how hella best songs will have like a group of words like melodies or whatever, but then there would be an accentuated 3 at the end, kind of in the rhythm of like this tresillo rhythm, which is like a reggaeton type of Afro beat thing, da, da, da. So then you start to look at it and it's like, yesterday, all my troubles seem so far away.
Oh, yeah.
Now it looks as if they're here to stay. Or they try to make me go to rehab and I said, no, no, no.
Yeah, that's sick.
Yes, I've been black, but when I come... Even fucking one example they used was, you probably think that you are better now. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. You only say that when I'm not around. And I was like, yo, that's wild. I start to think about a lot of the best songs that I've ever known. And like...
That they use that.
Yeah, they have this thing with like this 3-syllable melody thing at the end or beginning of lines is like, it's kind of ill. So I'm studying that shit because I'm like, how do I get some of that sauce Johan got with writing melodies?
They're just giving this shit away.
I swear to God, they
That's incredible. I want to read that book. I'm sure there's stuff I wouldn't have thought of because I feel like I'm doing it pretty intuitively.
Yeah.
I never really sat down and tried to figure out what I'm doing with the melody stuff. There is one thing I know that I'm doing with that, not to get too technical, but if you'll go out of like the Max Martin, like the really big pop stuff over the past 20 years, he'll do like for an overall structure, he'll do a line 3 times and then he'll do like 2 quick ones at the end. I'm trying to think of an example that's kind of hard to explain, but like, don't worry about it. She told me don't worry. Don't worry. There's always like it's like 3 of the big ones, and then there's just some faster thing that happens at the end. It's like a tag. Yeah, actually, that's kind of your thing too, isn't it? That literally is the thing you were just talking about.
Yeah, it is actually.
That's crazy.
It's the line plus 3.
That's wild.
Who would have fucking thought? But it's like there's definitely things that glue all these biggest songs together.
Yeah. Well, it's also true with art in general. Is a lot of it has to be at least somewhat familiar for people to get the new ideas you're saying. Like they have to have a baseline of just, I understand where we are to get the ways you're changing it up. Like it can't be all new. Right. And so you do find yourself going back to these things that you know work in order to just kind of lock people into something.
I think sometimes too, you can like build it up to break it down. You know what I'm saying? Like, I guess once I get through the rest of this book, I always had in mind, like, Frank Ocean Blonde, because that shit is so...
It's pretty out there.
It's just in opposition of, like, structure at all.
I agree.
Well, let me think. I sleep between y'all, it's okay. No, even that is like
the syncopation
is the threes. But yeah, that's an album that's like, you know what I mean, somewhere, like, in the cosmos and shit.
I mean, he built up a lot of goodwill. That's another thing that happens, I feel like, with a lot of my favorite artists is that they go a little commercial early in their career, and then they build that audience, and then they start getting weird with it. Like, I think about, like, Beyonce is pushing things way farther than she did originally. She was making pop. It was all art, but now she's really pushing it. Right. Obviously, Kanye, same thing. I feel like you've done that. I feel like it's a kind of that same thing. And Frank, I think, because Channel Orange had, like, Thinking About You had a lot of like more conventional kind of stuff.
Even Channel Orange, I feel like he was breaking them though, because I remember listening to Nostalgia Ultra and like I was in love with that one. Then when Channel Orange first came out, I was like, where's all the easily digestible pop songs? Because I'm thinking about like
that's true.
Novocaine and
you could already hear it. Yeah,
I'm thinking about like Novocaine, and at first I thought Channel Orange was weak. You know what I mean? For like 24 hours.
Wild, yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, then I started to realize after about a day, I was like, oh, this is crazy, actually.
Yeah. I wonder, whatever he's going to do next is going to be so far out. Like, if you think about going into Blonde and then, I don't know, I feel like it's going to get even crazier. So you're already in there. Were you working on the album like right up to the moment that it came out pretty much?
No, you had it done. I was done when you were in Chicago and we finished it. You know what I mean?
That's what I thought. Yeah. And that sounds like what we did.
No, you played on everything and we were done. It was really just record label stuff.
I was thinking about how you said now you're like, it's out and you're ready to go back in. I kind of feel like that happens with me too. Like it's hard for me to
move all the way on.
I'm trying to break this. It's hard for me to make the next album when I'm still waiting for this one to come out.
It was literally just record label stuff. You know what I mean? I wanted to really start making the next record, but like you said, man, that shit could be a little tough for me when like, obviously there's all the things that go into releasing a record and like, you know, creating the art and rollout and all those things. So in the midst of that and holding on to this big body of work, you know what I mean? I think it can be difficult, to really jump into making another one. But mentally, I've been there, though. You know what I mean? I've been like, this is what I want. This is what I want it to sound like. These are the themes I want to play with. These are like the directions I want to go. But I felt like I just been thinking about it a long time. So now I'm like itching to like really do it, you know?
That is like a good feeling. I feel like it taps into a thing that I remember feeling when I was in like middle and high school, where I first started writing the classical shit was because I had to spend my whole day in like science class and stuff. I was so ready. Like I was so engaged with the music the moment I got home because of spending all day just thinking about the moment I'll be able to get home and get into the music shit, you know? It's like your brain works harder to like figure out how you're going to take advantage of that moment once you get it, and then you like go once you have it.
Nah, for real. I used to be that way in school too with writing, with rapping, because like, you know, I'd be doing whatever I was doing all day, but I'd be writing rhymes in school and shit too, but like my real time, basically my studio time was like when I got home, you know, that's when I would like play the beats loud in my basement and like, you know how I write, like I just walk around and like just like say it out loud, you know. So
yeah, of course.
I would do that in my room, and that was like what I was working up to. And it's ill because like I think that practice of discipline, you know, that initially made me be a dope lyricist, it's like capturing that feeling because it wasn't labor to me, you know what I mean? It was like this is what I'm excited to go do. Like somebody from the outside looking in would be like, it's a beautiful day outside and you just want to sit in your room and like listen to beats, you know what I mean? Yeah, but for me, it was like, that was my time of freedom, you know what I mean? That was the candy of the day. Like that's what I'm building up to, is to be able to go and literally put in work, just like write raps on raps on raps, like punchlines. Sometimes I go back in my room and find like in my parents' house, and I'll find like these notebooks. Something I want to bring back into this album process that I had back then was like, I might just write line here, line there. It wasn't always like, this is a song, this is a verse. It would be like, this is a clever punchline, you know? Just little ones. Like, I'll see Kanye do that, you know what I mean? Kanye have like these notes. Like, I don't remember if it's a notebook or if it's in his phone. I remember it being a physical thing, though. And he'll just have like random non sequitur lines, and it might be like a punchline, something that rhymes, or just like a little joke, or like a little piece of something that'll become a hook.
And then going through them later.
Yeah, kinda. Sometimes I'll see him pull out a notebook, but you know, he's not really like a notebook type of dude. He's more like just feeling. But when I did realize that he was like, just throughout the course of his life, taking little notes about slick shit he wanted to say, I was like, oh, that's ill. I never realized he was doing that, you know?
Yeah. I remember hearing that Kurt Cobain used to do that.
Yeah, he's got his journals.
You can buy the journals, if you want, which is kind of crazy. But like, there are, I think, like certain lines that end up in songs that just show up originally. It's just like a random scrap of a line in a like totally different context. Right. Which is cool. I do it a little bit with titles, but yeah. I don't do it by hand, though. I have like a document that's just like text that I'll occasionally write.
No, I feel you. I ain't gonna lie. By hand. I'm about to start doing that with the writing, though. You know what I'm saying? Because I feel like, man, the best music is definitely conversational. You know what I'm saying? And just from experiences and random little thoughts. Like I feel like I have so many jokes I make per day, but I don't make that many jokes in my music. You know what I mean? It's something I want to put in my music. Like, you know me, I'm like, pretty much nothing is serious to me. I'm always joking about absolutely everything. But then my music, oftentimes it'll be like very, you know, serious, like Nas or some shit. You know what I mean? Like there's not a lot of jokes in it. You know what I mean? But I'm like, man, I got to figure that out because comedy is so powerful in music. Yeah. It's so powerful. Even sometimes when I'm doing public speaking, I have it when I'm doing public speaking. I know exactly that I can talk this much about a heavy intellectual or spiritual concept. Then I got to say something stupid or kind of ghetto to like mix it in and get a laugh to bring people back around for an emotional moment. You constantly got to break it up.
Yeah, and it's also just easier to let people like hear a serious idea or point if they're not like expecting that sometimes. Like if they're in a lighter mood, they'll like take it sometimes because they don't see it coming. Then when you really hit them with a serious point, I feel like that's sometimes better than setting them up for like, this is gonna be really serious.
That's the most effective way that I've found of communication and getting a point across is like to mix, you know, the depth with lighthearted comedy, you know, just like put it all together, you know what I'm saying? That's when you get ill. That's when it be like, I loved that experience, you know? Sometimes somebody hit you with all the info and you'd be like, damn, that person is really smart, but like, I don't know what the fuck he was just talking about.
Yeah. I feel like that's why I'm like a big comedy fan just in general too, like actual comedy, like, you know, stand up and all that stuff. It's just, I feel like that's, in some ways, it's like a really special medium for that reason.
Nah,
because
for
you
real.
do get a lot of serious points being made, but it's
For
like
real,
so
bro.
much more, yeah.
Like I was at Dave's show the other day. He brought me out to come perform a couple songs. Yeah, Chappelle just did fucking 3 nights at the United Center in Chicago, broke all their comedy records.
Oh, that's crazy.
And that dude, man, like, I ain't gonna lie, I'm studying Chappelle this album because that dude he's the fucking playbook of how to be an amazing artist. Like, the just size and import of the things he talks about, but the interesting ways that he comes at them and he makes something so real and necessary be like so stupid, you know what I mean? And like, and like he could just do that so masterfully and bring it around. And then he'll do a monologue for 10 minutes, won't be telling no jokes. We're talking about something. And then he'll go and make a joke that's all the way off the rails, completely off limits, just real quick. You know what I mean? He's got the delicate dance down to a precision. Kanye has that too. Kanye is one who, like, he's the main guy I'm thinking of right now when I say mixing humor in. Kanye always puts fucking funny shit in his music, and it's like, but he's always talked about deep concepts. You know what I mean? Since his first album, like, it's always been deep concepts. But then he'll say something stupid like, got a light-skinned friend, look like Michael Jackson, got a dark-skinned. I saw 2 chicks the other day that literally looked like a light-skinned and a dark-skinned Michael Jackson. Damn. That shit fucked me up. I ain't gonna lie. I was like, this is what this nigga was talking about.
I'm sure you didn't go up and tell him that.
No, I ain't tell him that. I ain't even tell him that, you know, but that shit hit
just going
different.
around looking like Michael Jackson.
That shit hit different because I was like, man, for real though, like, those jokes, man, Kanye, Dave, you know, I think I would say Kurt Cobain is another person that...
Yeah, he was funny.
It was like dry, fucking ironic humor, but it was always there. He could be talking about the saddest shit, you know, but he would put something ironically funny in there.
Yeah.
Amy Winehouse, too.
Yeah, that's true.
Amy is another one who always was doing that.
I think artists also, sometimes it's easy to take yourself very seriously, and I feel like it's important to not, like, in real life too. I always appreciate that you weren't like too, you know, I don't know. I think what you say is true too, because I think people would ask sometimes, like, oh, he seems like a really serious dude. I'm like, no, not at all. You know, and it's like, yeah, when he wants to be, but yeah, it's like, and I think
really not though. I'm like not serious about anything.
Letting people into that is a good thing.
No, for real though. That's what I'm saying. I'm intentionally gonna like freak that with this one because it's like. I guess I'll just be searching for like how to make the music be the most accurate representation of me and not just my idea of what my music sounds like.
I think that's a really hard thing that I actually think about a lot, which is that whether it's expectations, people look at you, they know certain things about your backstory, they know what's happened in the past, they know the other music you've made, and then they're like, this is what you sound like, you know? And it's very hard, I think, sometimes to get out of that I feel like I remember talking about this with the Punk album. Obviously, it was a big example of that on your end. I think there's been growing pains for me over the years with my solo shit of just kind of like, well, this is the music I like. The music that most inspires me is like the Kanye stuff, whatever. But then they're like, well, it looks like you should be making like indie rock because like, look at you. And it's like, all right, cool, fair enough. I don't play guitar. I don't really care about indie rock, but that's cool, you know? Right. And it's just like, not that I'm, you know, and I never was trying to rap, but it's just like, trying to fit how I, you know, where I fit in a way that was going to be like this package where people would look at it and be like, oh, that makes sense. It looks like this. The story is this. It sounds like this. But communicating it in a way that people can make sense of is really hard when you're in your own body, I feel like sometimes, you know.
And it's difficult to see yourself, too.
That's what I'm saying.
Somebody else often, like, can see you maybe more. Somebody knows you for real, you know, can see you more than you can see yourself. I feel like we see a caricature of ourselves, you know? I don't know how you break out of that, though. I ain't gonna lie.
I'm down to try anything, and I know you are, too, which I think is something that was always really interesting about the process with your stuff was just that like there was nothing, like we were literally making like Afrobeat and punk shit and like, you know, soul sample shit all in the same week and just being like, who cares? You know, it's all good, but it is like, I don't know, it's tough. I think that's something I'm still trying to figure out.
I mean, that shit is hard for people to digest, you know? I think like there's some special sauce to it though, because you know who I've been thinking about a lot, man, since he passed away is Virgil. And like,
yeah,
Virgil would make all those things Louis Vuitton. You know what I mean? Virgil would find a way to make like hardcore, punk rock, slam poetry, Wu-Tang style hip hop, you know what I mean? Some Afro shit, all Louis Vuitton. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
He would find a way to pull all those influences and like make them all fucking work, you know?
I mean, that's something that I think of Kanye doing too is like, I mean, I really think about like Yeezus where it's like he's got like Jamaican, you know, type shit on the same track with like German like synth shit.
9 Inch Nails.
Yeah, it's just like because it's his voice. I mean, it's his literal voice does a lot to just be like, well, it's Kanye, you know? But then there's also how he puts the things together where it's like nobody else would do it this way. If you can get people to be familiar with your style to the point where they can accept that amount of like eclecticism in an album and still just instantly be like, yeah, that's him. I mean, a lot of people hated that album too, but like, you know, after eventually people came around and
in time we was like, whew, this one crazy. In time. Yeah. I was on mushrooms when that shit came out and I put that shit on a sunny fucking day. Me and Cody was in the car driving to like Venice Beach. I played that shit on first note. I turned that bitch right off. I was like, yeah, no, not right now. I can't do that shit right now.
The thing that I really remember liking about it, which is kind of what inspired the orchestra concert actually, was that when I first listened to it, I couldn't tell where the song started and ended. And it's still kind of hard to tell, like, because the songs themselves will change up so much within a track. But then once it goes to the next track, it just kind of goes right into it. So it's like, it's kind of just one long piece of music to me. It just feels like one kind of mission that he's on.
Right,
and I feel like that reminded me a lot of like the way classical shit can be sometimes, where it's just one 40-minute experience.
They was referencing a classical thing in that songwriting book, The Line +3. The first reference they had was like, is it called like Louverture or some shit? It goes da 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 da. You know, and then it goes da 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 da. Hold on, I'm finna show it to you. It's like it's one of the famous ass classical songs. It's fire too, and it really shows you like.
But the point is, it's like what the fast kind of thing, and then like a big kind of punchline at the end, right?
Exactly. It's like it shows you that this whole line +3 thing. The song is called. It's Tchaikovsky, 1812 Overture.
Oh, yeah.
And it's that moment, like, at the end or whatever, where the candle...
You're talking about that that shit.
That one.
Yeah. Yeah. Kind of hits... You're right. It kind of does that right, where it's like it's like sort of tension and how fast it's going. And then paying off at the end with that kind of like, we made it. It's like an exclamation point at the end of it. I'm trying to just figure out how to get that music in front of more people. I mean, that's always been the goal with me. With
classical?
Yeah, and like not even like Tchaikovsky, but just whatever the modern version of it is that I'm doing. But just, you know, that's the thing I've been trying to do with like the Kanye concert, the Beethoven or whatever. But then, you know, since I've been touring, I try to do like, I'll sing some songs, but then I'll do like 10 minutes of that shit at the end with my violins and just be like, here, this is gonna be crazy. I always like warn them too if I'm opening for artists because they don't necessarily know that that's what's coming.
I like when you bring the violins out on your solo shit. That shit is ill. Are you still doing the orchestra joint?
Yeah, I'm trying to figure out like the next thing I really want to do in terms of, so I always have like violins on stage with me doing like the small scale.
But I mean the big Beethoven sized. Are you still doing those joints?
Yeah, so the thing that I'm trying to do next with that is that I really want to get artists that you wouldn't expect to write an orchestra thing to write for it. So get like an FKA Twigs or like a JPEG Mafia or something to write for the first time, maybe, I think, in those cases. You know, Grimes, James Blake, whatever, to write like, you know, and like we'll collaborate on it, whatever, but to just write orchestra music and then have, you know, a concert of a bunch of pieces of music by different people that are just kind of, you know, doing a really interesting thing with sound. Because I feel like a lot of those people didn't necessarily study that type of shit, but I think they would like to do it. I think their fans would like to see that. But it's just, there's so much closed-mindedness, I think, sometimes in the world of classical music that prevents them from even thinking about, like,
Right.
oh, they're making music that would work in that setting just as well. Which is kind of the point of the Kanye concert at the time, was just like, I was just listening to Yeezus and being like, a lot of this is doing the same shit that I like about the classical shit, you know? Like, why are we not playing it in these concert halls?
That's crazy. I be liking the right string parts too, man. I like whenever I'm working on an album, like, and I bring some strings in. It's so fun. You think about how they can go, like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I be telling them to do
The first session we ever did, I had a bunch of stuff prepared just so we'd have stuff to record. But then there was a point, I think, where the session turned and you were like, all right, what if we did this, though? What if we did that? And I was like, dude, just get on the mic, tell them, you know. And we had, sometimes it's like, okay, cool, let me translate it to sheet music for them. Sometimes it's like, literally just sing it to them and they'll fucking do it.
Yeah.
But I like being the go-between. Are you tapped in with a lot of like Chicago producers right now on the new shit?
Man, I'm really producing a lot right now, gang.
Sick.
I ain't gonna lie, like, I haven't really been working with many producers, you know what I mean? I'm literally just fucking starting this new album though, so all the things that I've made thus far have just been me and Peasy, you know Peasy, so it's just been us, and my plan is like, you know, like always, fucking make the structures of shit, and then holla at you, holla at Bongo, Drew, like Peter Cottontail, like get people to build up, you know. But I do wanna handle a lot more of the production on this next one, cause you know, just cause I've never done it. You know what I mean? It's like I've always had such a distinct voice as a producer, but I've never like really leaned into like producing myself for real.
That'll give you a whole new, like, you know, angle into it, regardless of even where you're going lyrically. I mean, that'll make the whole process, I think, inspiring in a way that'll keep it fresh.
Yeah, straight up. That's how I'm feeling. I mean, I got a lot of motherfuckers I do want to work with, you know what I mean? But I also want to do way more joints on here than I've done it. Even if it's just I find a sample, you know? Because I'm ill with chopping samples. So even if I just find a sample, I'm work over that and then have somebody build it or replace it. We've been on some new shit. We've been replacing these samples now, bro.
Like remaking or just making different samples?
We got this dude. I don't know if I told you about him, but I ain't gonna put his name in here.
I've done a couple of those for people over the years.
This dude is a scientist.
I replayed Michael Jackson for Big Sean, actually.
Snapped.
Human Nature. Yeah, that was like, I literally just redid that. Like, we were in the studio and they were like stressing about it. I'm like, dude, I could definitely just make this right now. Like 20 minutes on it. Saved everyone fucking $1 million probably.
I swear. I swear. And no way we playing that game.
It's kind of fun too, because you kind of have to see what went into it to do that a little bit. You have to like look at it and be like, oh shit, and they got this bass line, and they got this fucking little shit. Cool, you know?
Yeah, this nigga, he's using AI to do voices and shit.
Oh wow.
This shit getting different.
Don't put his name in here.
It's getting wicked out here, bro, to the point where I'm like, oh, yeah, okay. I'm not paying for shit kind of samples. I'm not doing it.
I wrote to a guitar part I got out of the AI generator that Google has. I think it was Google. I was just starting.
Google makes AI music?
They're okay. Some of it's better than other shit, but yeah, you got to like kind of put it in the right thing. I wanted some like, you know, acoustic guitar loops that feel kind of like folk type, you know, like Bonnie Bear type shit or whatever. And I had to like keep changing what words I'll send it to you.
Yeah, send me the thing.
Just, you got to like steer it a little bit, but once you get into the zone, you just keeping like, give me another one, give me another one.
I want to learn to use AI. I'm not going to lie to you, bro. Like,
it's going to get way better. Right now, it's like on the cusp, but it's going to get crazy in the next couple of years, I'm sure.
I definitely want to learn to use AI, like, for real. You know what I'm saying? Like, I fuck with AI. I know everybody hates it, you know what I'm saying? But
people just don't want to get replaced.
Yeah, that's tough. I speak from a privileged position for sure, but like the scarcity mindset, man, you know what I mean? I just don't resonate with it. It's like AI is here to stay, gang.
It's like everything else. Like, more kids are going to be able to get into music because they have options that help it make it easier to get it.
We might as well just figure out how to get wicked with it. You know what I mean? Like, how do I freak it? You know what I mean?
Yeah, you definitely can't stop it.
You can't stop that shit. How do I get wicked with it? How do I, if I'm finna get replaced by AI, let me learn AI. You know what I'm saying?
It's definitely not going to be writing. It's not, because the thing it's not going to replace ever is that people listen to your music because they want to connect to you.
To human beings.
Even if you get AI that's good at like writing bars, which will be a while probably, but even then it's not a person. And the music's really, I think, just about people trying to connect with a person and their ideas. And that's all it ever was. And that's all it's always going to be that, I think.
What if AI could help you make up lines, though? Like, sometimes when you get stuck on a line and you're like, man, I need something that rhymes with, you know.
But apparently it's doing that. And also, like, I've used rhyming dictionaries. You know, it's like the thing that makes it you is you deciding that this is good or not. And it's you or not. And it's what you want to represent you, I think.
I'll keep a rhyming dictionary on deck, straight up.
Yeah. Shit, dude. I might have to write some songs today.
I'm about to go get on that right now.
I appreciate you talking to me right now. I'm excited to hear where you take this next thing. And
got you, man.
Congrats on the album. I'm glad I was able to be a part of it. I'm always here.
I appreciate you always. I'm going to send you some joints that we're working on right now, actually.
Let me know.
I'll send you a couple.
Oh, you know I'll be there.
All right, turn
Fly
up.
to Chicago, get some hot dogs and shit, finish it up.
Malort.
Some Malort.
So straight Malort.
Good to see you, dude.
All right, I love you, bro. I'm going to holler at you.
I love you too, man.
All right, peace, bro.
Yeah.
Thanks for listening to the Talkhouse Podcast, and thanks to Vic Mensa and Johan Lenox for chatting. If you liked what you heard, please follow Talkhouse on your favorite podcasting platform and check out all the good stuff at talkhouse.com. This episode was produced by Myron Kaplan, and the Talkhouse theme is composed and performed by The Range. See you next time.